Well, do we know if Chatham's coming? I don't.
I have not heard from Chatham. I'll text him.
Okay. Let's see, Andrew's on.
Charlie, I don't see you in your office today.
Right now, I'm at home.
I was going to come see you and Vince shortly this morning.
Yeah.
I'll catch you another time.
Okay. We can do it this afternoon or tomorrow or.
I'll call you.
All right. Just give me a ring.
Okay, there's Khalil. Great. Morning, Khalil.
Good morning.
Khalil, you get to go right from this to pickleball.
Two different subjects.
Completely.
Okay, well, we have a quorum here, so it is 9:02, and we do have a hard stop at 10, so I think we should probably go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you all for being here this morning, and I want to recognize Khalil as the new member of City Council who will be joining the committee. And Khalil, thank you for your willingness to join us.
Thank you.
And as obviously he's a new member of City Council, and he's got himself several committee assignments, and I think he's learned that there's a lot going on in this community. So anyway, and not the least of which is mitigation topics. So we do have the minutes, and I want to thank Jackie for providing those for us. As usual, Jackie, I think you did a great job. But are there any additions, deletions, corrections to these minutes as Jackie provided them? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I'd move to approve.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Thanks, Danielle. The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. It looks like Chatham has not made it, so I don't think we have a an update on post Phragmites burn, other than what he reported it last month, that it had been very successful without any damage to personal property. And I've had a lot of comments from people as I've encountered them out in the public saying that they were somewhat overwhelmed by the deer that came running out of the marsh across Cedar Street. But other than that, I think most everyone was concerned about what we were doing, but appreciative of the fact that we got it done. I'm hopeful that between the spraying and the cutting and of course the burn, that we are getting our Phragmites control back moving forward. So other than that, I don't have anything else. Anne Maria, has Chatham had shared anything with you about it?
No, you know, that I think the bulk of the feedback we got was very positive. You know, a couple people were questioning whether we would be planting anything, and my response was that the native vegetation would have an opportunity to take hold and hopefully replace what was the Phragmites. So
okay. Well, we'll get more updates as we have Chatham join us at our next meeting. So the next item is a report from the LPC subcommittee regarding water recharge area. Is there anything, Janelle, you can share with us there?
So the subcommittee hasn't been working on this as it went to mayor and council. Mayor and council is taking some time to rethink this and has since adopted a moratorium to not enforce the excellent recharge area. I know we've been in contact with DNREC to try and reach out and try to come up with a new strategy to address the excellent recharge area for the source water protection. So staff is working on it. in coordination with state agencies and council.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Yeah, obviously this is a great concern to everyone who lives on the beach and anyone who lives in an area that has been identified as a recharge area. So I think taking time, especially since we have two new members of council, taking time to consider what was proposed and how it would impact the property owners over there is a good measure. And I think most people I've spoken to, again, are appreciative of the fact that we're moving on it, but we're moving in a cautious manner. So that's what I know about it. In terms of the Resilient Communities Partnership Grant with IPA, Anne-Marie, do you want to talk about where we are with that and the listening sessions?
So, and Janelle's kind of actually been the lead, but we're both, we've both been on most of the meetings. What we're doing is next week, we are having a series of 3 listening sessions. And this is the Delaware Coastal Programs and Institute for Public Administration will facilitate these listening sessions. They will be held via Zoom. Janelle, can you send that information out to the mitigation planning team so that they have it?
Absolutely.
So the idea is that we would hear, it's almost like hitting the reset button a little bit from where we were when, things, I think that when we went to public hearing on the sea level rise resiliency ordinance, a lot of one of the things that became clear is that not everybody was kind of coming from the same place in terms of, the understanding of the situation and they're, balancing the stakeholder issue with some of the other things. So the idea here is to take a step back, listen to what the community says about how we deal with the environmental challenges that we're going to encounter in the future, and then work to have some consensus building around how we address these issues. I think that one of the things that we determined after listening to the comments in the public hearing was that there was definitely a lack of stakeholder participation early on, and it put us in a position where what was brought forward was not considered to be palatable. So, the listening sessions aren't specifically about sea level rise, but it's really about how do we look at and address these environmental challenges. And from that, the plan is that then mayor and council will appoint a working group that is representative of stakeholders and environmental interests, and have a very inclusive group to then look forward at using the ordinance developed by the Planning Commission as a starting point, but how do we address these issues? So, and that will be facilitated by DNREC and the Institute for Public Administration. So we're hoping it gets us to a better result, or more palatable and accepted result by the community.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that they had reached out before we had made the decision, or before we even had the hearing about this, about doing a grant program with us. And we were trying to define exactly what that would be. And this is not unlike the permeable surface coverage that was done a couple of years ago with DNREC, and where all the coastal communities participated. But in this case, they actually sought Lewis out. And it so happens the way this came together that it was kind of a natural fit that we would do this. So I would encourage every member everybody who's on this call today to make sure that there are 3 listening sessions scheduled next week. Some of them are daytime, some of them are evening. And I would encourage, they're all going to be the same questions. I would encourage you to take time to participate in at least one of them. And they'll vary from who else is there and questions that pop up or discussion that arises as a result of the way the facilitators present the discussion. So I think it's well worth the time to participate in this. And as Anne-Marie said, from this, then they will continue on with a group that will represent the beach community as well as the whole of Lewis to work on developing a path forward for this regulation. So I think it's a good step. So thank you. And Janelle, do you have anything further to add to that, or is we good?
You're good. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. I put on the NIMS training status update. I know that we've transferred, or we've been working to transfer all that to Shelby. Has that been transferred? Has that information made it to Shelby yet, Anne-Marie?
Yes. So Shelby has it all in hand, and she has who has what training and what positions need what training. So the next step will be, she'll be working to reach out to figure out. A lot of it can be done online, but there's some that we will need to schedule in person.
Right.
So she will be working on that.
Terrific. Yeah, a lot. I think the first 3 courses can all be done online. And Khalil, since you're new, I think we've only talked about it briefly, and they're not, really long courses. You can do them easily in an hour or 2, if you don't have time to. When you set aside the time, and you can do it uninterrupted. But to go back to what the Chatham had told us at the last meeting, they were thinking about doing another tabletop exercise. So all of us who would participate in that would need to make sure that we have the NIMS training. I can't imagine, given scheduling, that it will happen before the first of the year, but I think that we could expect that the county and DMAC would want us to, not DMAC, but DEMA would want us to have another tabletop exercise soon. So I think that will be, we need to get our NIMS training up and completed before that. So thank you. In terms of community resiliency and recovery update, I think this weekend probably is a great reminder of how fragile our relationship is with the ocean and weather. Not deemed a nor'easter this weekend, but a lot of wind out of the north. If you haven't been over to see what happened to the beach in front of the yacht club and further down, it's quite amazing how that 2-day event really eroded a great deal of the beach, and points out. I had correspondence from the yacht club with concerns and from other people, and I know, Khalil, you said your daughter had an issue where she tried to go to the beach and had to step down rather than walk gradually down a slow incline. So I think our community and recovery update is that we need to keep working on these things. The MOU with the library is not yet finalized, nor is the one with IG Burton for storage of vehicles, but those are in progress, and we'll hopefully have those in place soon. But moving forward, we really need to think about what other steps we can take to be better prepared. I did speak with DENREC on Monday. Actually, they called me after I sent them an email and said that they would be investigating what they could do to try and restore some of the beach erosion that happened this weekend. There's a pretty good sandbar right off the shore there, and I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago, Charlie, you may remember the exact date. They actually pulled some sand off of the sandbar and brought it back and redeposited on the beach. I don't know if that's going to be possible this year or not.
Did they do that with the dredge, or did they do it?
They did it with equipment, heavy equipment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
At low tide, obviously.
Okay, right.
And they did that. It was sort of around the Children's Beach House.
Wasn't it in response to Sandy? Because Sandy
it was a little later than that. It was a winter nor'easter.
Okay.
Was it Jonas?
I think you're probably right. I'm stymied on a name this morning, but I think it was.
Jonas was a pretty big one.
Yeah, it was a winter
That's
storm.
where I started.
Yeah. So they did do something then, but I don't know if that's going to be in the cards or not, but I know I talked to Mike Powell and he had already been out to see it on Monday. And so we'll see what they come back. They did say they would be back in touch later this week as we get more information about what they plan to do. You know, as you know, they just did the dredging a year ago. And
Well, and so in a somewhat related matter, one of the things we did in the maintenance department, I think we did, Rick can tell me if I'm wrong, I know we were doing it, is we're moving the trash barrels and putting the cans on the Bay Avenue side, because with all of the erosion we've had on the beach, two things. One, we can't get the ATV up and down the beach in certain areas to empty the barrels. But the other thing is that when the tide comes up real high, we risk all of that trash then washing into the bay. And
Yeah.
Obviously we don't want that. So did we make that move, Rick?
Yes, we went as far as we could with the barrels on the beach, and then we have a section that we put out for this past weekend, and it worked out fine. There was some trash in it, so people did see it, and hopefully it continues. And hopefully it works that you can actually have the people bring the trash off the beach and actually take it off the beach and walk it to the trash can, and that kind of saved them a little trash. But yes, we took care of that.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it's a real concern. If you've seen any of the photographs, you can see where the post and rope fence that they put up to protect the dunes in many cases has been washed out. So seeing it in real time is even more dramatic, but the photographs tell a good story. So
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that DNREC will be back to reestablish that post and rope fence as time and sand allow. But right now, our beaches are pretty much devastated, and at least there. And I did notice that Beach One, the trash line was halfway across our relatively broad beach there at Beach One on Monday morning. So I'm sure that as you rake the beach on Monday, Rick, you must have gathered a lot of sea debris and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it took them a little bit extra.
Yeah. All right. Well, last month we talked about flood monitoring devices. And I know, Danielle, you've been talking, you and I have had some correspondence about Gene Donaldson and getting together. Where are we with that at this point?
You should have on your calendar a meeting on June 7th at 1:30. So hopefully, yeah, I'm seeing some nods. So that's with Gene. And I don't know if he's bringing Don Weber with him to that meeting, but we're gonna, just ask him to kind of catch us up on their flood monitoring efforts. When I spoke to Gene, he described they're continuing to do a robust program of flood monitoring where they have different water sensors in different locations that they're trying to correlate to roadway elevations. When they can correlate it to the roadway elevations, then it becomes more of a like a real-time, even predictive system where they can gather, intel to understand when, the water is going to reach a certain height, this particular patch of the roadway is going to be inundated. And there's also, beyond that, they just have technology like, your electronic flashing roadway signs that can alert drivers, and it gets triggered under certain conditions so that when they're expecting wetness on the roads, they can activate signs. There's an app. And so he wanted to kind of talk about some of those things, but he did specifically, after I spoke with him, go out to New Road and kind of investigate the area a little bit to see kind of, the lay of the land, so to speak, and understand where their, water sensor and tide gauge may be that in relation to the roadway. So we'll hear from him whether they are interested in maybe incorporating New Road into their flood monitoring efforts. or if you have other roadways you'd want him to consider, I think that's the meeting to bring it up.
Great. And again, that's June 7th at 1:30, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Danielle, I'm surprised that they haven't already gotten new roads since they're redesigning the bridge at Canary Creek. It seems like they would want that data now.
Yeah, he was mentioning that they just need a good storm. So maybe this past, weekend gave it to him. Sometimes that's the issue is they need the data, and then, you don't want to wish for storms, but you sort of do. And we'd had kind of a quiet period of time prior to.
We're enjoying that. Although there was water on Savannah Road in front of the Daily Market this weekend.
Yeah.
Not a lot. It wasn't clear across the road, but there was some. And I used New Road a couple of times this weekend while the storm was going on. And it was lapping at the edges of the pavement, but at no time did I see it over the road. Now, it could have happened overnight. I don't know, but I don't know where I was when it was in the tide cycle when I crossed it. But
Danielle, do you know whether they install those sensors just temporarily, or are they there permanently when they put them in?
I didn't think that they were very temporary. Some of what they're doing is meant to be a road monitoring program. So I believe those would be more permanent, but then there's a research component where they're developing low cost sensors, and the water sensors associated with those, maybe those are temporary. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Right. Well, I can offer a little bit more information from Greenstream because that's a company that we have talked to, and they've actually made a presentation both to ACT, and they've also provided us some information. Since our last meeting, I did reach out to the Karen Lindquist, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Greenstream, and she provided some costs for us to at least have this, and we can consider this further. But interesting, she has a variety of sensors, and apparently they're getting very good penetration from Virginia on south. So they're in North Carolina in that area, and they've had some penetration up in Massachusetts with these their flood sensors. But their water level sensor, which is an ultrasonic device that have a 30-foot range, a purchase of $1,985 outright, and that would for feed or work for a medium bridge or exposure to the ocean. They have a higher level one that would go a 50-foot range that is $2,745, and then they offer some rain gauges, and then their cloud management of data is $120 per year as a subscription base, and then there's a dashboard and an API setup, which is a one-time charge of $250. So these are relatively inexpensive, and we can share this information with Gene. I know they have made a presentation to DelDOT in the past.
He's I think he even had an agreement with them, but the last thing he mentioned to me was that they haven't fulfilled it yet. So I think it would be a great question to ask him. What's the status of DelDOT's coordination with Greenstream? Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be. They're based in Norfolk, so they're relatively close if we were to contract with them. And then we'll see, what, but I do have this pricing information. She sent it to me last week. So we have very current pricing information that we can share with Gene if he doesn't already have it.
Mayor, just fleshing that out a little bit, is it fair to say that if we got Gene and DelDOT to install a tie gauge, say in the canal, that would be free to the city rather than the city paying Greenstream? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think we could couch it certainly around that we're trying to protect Cedar Avenue, which is a DelDOT road.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple places on Cedar where it would really be appropriate. Right there, right where at the beginning of Cedar, like at Midland or out at California in particular, these two places that we have a lot of issues with water and their low-lying areas.
Well, and there's really, two costs associated. There's the purchase and installation of the equipment, and then there's the ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
And then there's something that I think you really can't put a value on is when the data, if the data were to be part of DelDOT's program, then it's integrated in with USGS and DelDOT's, emergency management and monitoring data, and it's shared with the state. And so that feeds into the overall understanding of hydrology and risk. And so that can really inform emergency management going forward. So there's lots of co-benefits with that.
Right. I would assume that if we were to, if we were to purchase it, that we could make the information available or the access to the information available on the city's website, and perhaps could upload it to DelDOT, if it were possible. But those are discussion points and things to talk with him about on the 7th. So, but I think having some kind of a, we don't have any of those tide sensors right now in the city. And I think DelDOT has a very few number around the state. It seemed to me it was less than a dozen the last time we talked. Do you recall, Danielle?
I don't recall a number offhand. I know that they have an ongoing list that they're trying to, tick off. So right. I don't know where they are with the numbers.
Okay. Well, we'll get hopefully more information on Tuesday or Monday, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Cheryl, you're with us. You want to talk to us about what's going on at BB? Cheryl?
I do. Hi, everybody. Let me start my video. I had to have a conversation with someone, so I didn't want to distract on the video. So a couple of things I want to tell you. On Monday and Tuesday of next week, and there's a press release going out, I think, from us and stuff to the neighbors and stuff like that. But most of the activity that we're having in exercise Monday and Tuesday will not be taking place on site. It's going to be taking place at the University of Delaware. There will be on Monday from 10 to 11, the National Guard is bringing their Blackhawks, and we're going to do some education with them, with us, as far as if we had to do an evacuation of hospital patients by National Guard, how would that happen? What would that look like? Who is able to be transported by air, who isn't? And then in the afternoon, we're having a pediatric tabletop exercise that has to do with a crash of a special needs pediatric bus. So Nemours is coming down and the state is also coming to do the tabletop. So that has to deal with our medical care of these special needs kids with special needs. So that's something we're doing on Monday. Then Tuesday goes into, we're taking it one step further and doing an exercise with the National Guard again about evacuating a small amount of patients, including children and their parents. Now, real children won't be used because, still have COVID concerns and all of that. So we have pediatric mannequins that we're using, and the other patients will be played by National Guardsmen. Because they are on annual training this week or next week and the week after. So we're using them to be our patients and our parents and some of our other things that are happening. So we're only concentrating on air assets in this part of the evacuation. We're not concentrating on any ground transportation at all. We're just focusing on this small group. This will be the first time actually that our hospital incident command center, other than, the whole year of COVID, has actually been open. And that, we can actually, we're going to get the vests on, we're going to get the stuff out, and do all of that. So I know that marketing is putting out a press release to let everybody know that, if you see more military helicopters, but they won't be here. They won't be on site. They're going to be down at the University of Delaware. Okay. And then our whatever our normal helicopter traffic is in and out of the day. But we're really looking forward to it. The patients, the pediatric mannequins and their parents, so to speak, are being taken to they have a new name. It's Nemours Children's Health System in Newark. So they're actually going to be receiving these patients. And what does that look like? What records are going with them? How do they give report to, it's one thing to evacuate, people who have just, everybody's just jumping on the helicopter. These are actual patients who they're going to transfer. And our scenario is that we have to leave because of a hurricane. So we're taking it one step one day and then taking it to the next step the next day. So just want to let you know that, but there, like I said, information will be going out. The other thing is that next month, I am stepping back from being the emergency management coordinator here at the hospital. I have been driving from Pennsylvania for 5 years and I'm just tired of doing that. I've been at BB for 20. We have been actively, I still love my job, and I am staying on casual to help the next person to acclimate to all of the things that they're to do here, to teach them to, you know, all the committees that they're going to be on, like this one. So I'm hoping I can jump on next meeting and introduce the new person. We have been actively, and we should be making a decision by Friday. And if the person gets hired that I would like to, you'll be very pleased with the new person. So yeah, I'm going to still be involved, you know, at least for a little while to make sure that everything is up and running. But it really just is just because the last 5 years I've been coming down, you know, 2 to 3 times a month for a week and working. So it's just, you know, but I'm going to be an ER nurse again up in Pennsylvania, which is where I started here at BB. So and that'll be interesting change for me. I said to my husband, are you sure you're going to like me 4 weeks out of the month instead of 2 weeks out of the month? So he said, that's why I'm staying on casual at BB, so he can send me back if, you know, if it doesn't work out. But yeah, so that's basically what we have going on right now. So we're really excited to be getting back into doing exercises and using the guardsmen who, now just so everybody knows, we're really doing it safely. We'll still wear masks. Most, if not all, of the guardsmen have been vaccinated. So, you know, it's a more safer environment. And again, we're not using the kids. Okay. So, you know, we're using mannequins for that. So it should be a fun exercise. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, the Black Hawk helicopter alone will attract a lot of attention in this community.
I did the last time we did this right before COVID. We did some education with them for us. The education was for us, not for them, to tell us what their capabilities are, you know, what they can do for us, what they can't, how many, you know, in a helicopter, if they're patients rather than just sitting, you know, sitting patients. So yes, it definitely will. And yeah, they'll be in and out on Tuesday. So yeah, we had a lot of onlookers last time. So BB Security will be there to make sure that, you know, we just keep everybody safe. Okay. And University of Delaware has been great. I need to say that out loud. They've been great with giving us permission to land there. And their folks usually come out and see what's going on too. So, but I just wanted to tell everybody they've been really terrific with giving us you know, permission to do this and to use their field and whatnot. So, well,
I would say for all of us, you've been really terrific, a member of this committee for a long time, and we'll miss you. And glad there's going to be a transition and you'll still be around. But thank you for all the work you've done and all the information you've brought to this committee and for the interaction you've had with the city. We enjoy a wonderful working relationship with the hospital, and no small part of that is your input. So we thank you very much for what you've been doing for us and how you interacted with the city.
Oh, thank you. It's a great group to work with. I really enjoy it. I'll still be involved a little bit on the outskirts, but well, I'll make sure the next person's up and running, and that, you know, that they will be the same, you know, we'll have the same relationship and really enthusiastic person if I get my choice. So, you know, it'll be great, and I'll still see you around, everybody. So. Yeah.
Well, we know that you were instrumental in getting Paul Cowan, Dr. Cowan, to become the chair of our Board of Health, and he's been a real asset to this community.
He really has, and I'm very excited about that. He really is.
So we thank you for all that and more.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, great. Thanks. I see that Steve is on. Steve, you from the fire department, you have an update you'd like to give us?
What do you want an update on?
Well, I know that, I mean, I know you have applied for a grant for a new boat. Is there any update on what the status is of that? And how can you tell us how you anticipate using that?
No, I haven't even heard anything. I don't think we'll even know anything until September.
Okay, so it's still in process.
Yeah, so it's all been applied. I think $250,000 grant for like a 24-foot boat, similar to the small one that we purchased to be more agile and stuff like that. But we won't know any news for a while until the federal government makes a decision.
Yeah, well, it's good that you're doing this. I think what I learned when I was informed about it was that you know, the boat that you're currently using is over 20 years old, and that it's that with the Coast Guard ceasing their operations here in Roosevelt Inlet, the nearest outreach for them would either be the Indian River Inlet or coming from New Jersey. Is that correct? And
with regards to the Coast Guard, yeah, unless they on weekends, sometimes they decide to put a Coast Guard boat in the Delaware Bay. Sometimes you see them, but that's few and far between. But we did purchase that small boat to see if we were going to like something that size. We find it to be pretty feasible, and it's a lot more easy to operate than the 44-foot boat that we have. So we'll see what happens. Aiden's putting a lot of work into that. I haven't talked to him since he put in the whole grant, but I really don't expect anything for this summer. And I believe we'll know in September, and hopefully it'll be approved, and then we'll be able to use it next year.
Right. I know that the federal delegation is trying to be as supportive as they can, making sure that moves through. So I hope it comes.
We have a lot of, we're able to use the port grants a lot and stuff like that too, just due to the amount of boats I think coming through. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for the update. Then Tom Panetta sent me yesterday an announcement from FEMA that they were going to have workshops actually starting on Thursday of this week. I'll send this out for operational guidance for disaster response and recovery in a pandemic environment. And these workshops will run for the next couple of weeks, and they're all the same. It's a webinar online. So this may be a very useful tool for all of us to take time to watch. I'll send this press release from FEMA to everybody on this committee so that everybody can take a look at it. Hopefully you have a chance to take it in or attend one of the workshops. I think there are 5 of them. So hopefully that will help get information out. Darren, from the board, do you have anything you would like to share?
I'd say one of the things we've been working on with sea level rise. I have here a hydraulic map that shows everything of what we've built down at the wastewater treatment plant. Charlie should recognize this. It has his signature on it. But it shows that our hydraulic level down at the plant is actually 10 feet above is above the sea level. We've gone out to get a couple of elevation certificates to repeat those numbers and to look at our drying beds. And so the BPW is working on some answers or some actions for sea level rise, some of those questions. So it shows that we're quite safe. We're not in danger there. And we'll just have some numbers that verify that. Other than that, we recognize the summer's here and people be safe, and we'll still be prepared for any nor'easters that come our way.
Good. Thank you. Obviously, there's been questions raised about the position of the wastewater treatment plant. So good that you're addressing, providing that information, so we can hopefully get it out to the public and they can have a better understanding of how safe the wastewater treatment plant is in its current location. So, good. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring forward this morning? Okay, we need to schedule a next meeting.
10?
Yes.
Sorry, can I give some updates?
Please. Oh, of course, Danielle. Absolutely.
I just wanted to flag that we have a lecture series at UD that's starting this week. And I sent it to Anna Marie in case she wants to send that around, but there's a couple of topics that I think would be useful and helpful to Lewis. Starting this Thursday, the state's climatologist, Dan Leathers, is giving an overview of climate change in Delaware. These are in the evenings from 7 to 8. It's free registration, but you do have to register. So that link would be in the email. I'm speaking on June 17th on the topic of community resilience and coastal flooding. Again, that's at 7 o'clock. At the end of August, there's a topic on sea level rise. So, you know, Phil Barnes from IPA, he's tag teaming with John Callahan, who helped develop the state's sea level rise scenarios, and they're talking on that topic. So that's coming up. And then I wanted to let you know that I've entered into a partnership with DEMA, where I'm working with them on a couple of different tasks related to recovery and resilience. And one of that is helping CCC for COVID, the kind of grassroots group that sprung up in the early days of the pandemic, evolve them into a permanent organization. They're going to remain somewhat ad hoc in their organization structure, but the idea is to keep this group around for future, you know, disasters and events, because we really see this community as benefiting from this added capacity that this coalition brings to the table, particularly because they focus a lot on social vulnerability needs that are present and can be exacerbated by our extreme weather events and other types of disasters. So I'm working with them on that, and we're coordinating with Joe Thomas and FEMA. But also we're working to develop a new web-based data hub that will consolidate a lot of information related to older adults in Sussex County. And then maybe in the future, we hope to expand it to other vulnerable populations, like low-income populations and you know, populations of color. And we're going to basically house it at DEMA, and it's going to be used for both emergency management and planning. And we think that this will be kind of like an easy catch-all place where towns like Lewis could go to really understand what resources exist for older adults, where are the hazards present that could impact older adults, you know, where are they living in relation to evacuation routes, where are they living in relation to food resources like food pantries and so forth. And so we would really appreciate if someone in Lewis could potentially help just meet with us once to kind of inform the development of this. So I don't know if that would be Anne Marie or Janelle, if they're willing to volunteer at some point to just meet with us and kind of let us pick your brain about what kind of needs you have, information that you would benefit from, and see if we could help tailor this platform to municipal needs as well as, you know, the needs of the state emergency management structure.
Sure, we could do that. That's great, Danielle. Thank you very much.
Ted?
Yes.
I just two quick questions. Danielle, thanks for that information. Where can we get information on Thursday evening and then on the 18th? Where's the best place to access that?
Yeah, so I have the email. I could forward it to you, and Anne Marie has a copy of it.
Great, I can forward it to the committee. I was also looking to see, you don't mind if I try to cut and paste it into a, I don't know if I can do exactly that, but send it as an email blast.
Oh yeah, by all means, as long as the registration link still works. That's okay. The key. Is you just need to, you know, kind of register so you get the Zoom link sent to you.
Great.
And Khalil, I think I have your email too. I can just kind of forward it separately.
Okay, yeah, because I think that's all very interesting. And just my second question is, the background in Joe Stormer's picture, is that real or is that visually mastered?
That is real.
So you really are on some exotic island. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Lewis.
I've been tracking the wave patterns, and I'm trying to see if they're the same. If it was, I couldn't get it. So
well, that was some storm that blew through. It changed the whole topography and climate.
Changed the landscape completely.
Yeah, and the palm tree floated in.
Well, there's palm trees over there at east of Maui, so maybe you're not too far off base, Joe. So anyway. There's one other thing I neglected to mention, and thank you, Danielle, for the update. And I think all of us would be interested. So if Anne Marie can send that information out, it would be great.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, but you may recall from, if you attended a city council meeting, that we are working with Maracus on installing a new antenna between Beach 1 and 2 on the dune. And they expect that will be installed by the end of the month. And that will provide information to NOAA and others on what's going on with the ocean activity and storms and all of that. So, and they also are replacing the one that they've had out at Cape Penelope with a much larger one. So these two antennae will broaden the range of information that they're receiving from the bay and out into the ocean. So Gerhard Kustner, who came to us with the idea, has been in contact with Anne Marie and I about when it's happening, and it's anticipated that some of the federal delegation will be here for the installation of that, or the announcement of it becoming operational. So we'll keep you posted on when that happens. But I think there's another way to get more information, and we'll be able to access that information as well. Yes, Joe.
You can find that website that Danielle was talking about at udel.edu. Scroll down and there's a whole list of things you can sign up for.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
And Larry, Hugh already called me. They'll be here next Wednesday to install it at Beach 2.
Okay, great. So it's next Wednesday?
Yeah, they were coming today, but one of the guys that was going to help them install wasn't available, so they'll be here next Wednesday.
Okay, great. Thanks for the update. And I think they're planning on having some official dedication of it later in the month. They're still working on details, depending on availability of the federal delegation. So that's where that's at. Okay, so looking forward to the next meeting. We would normally meet every other month. Can we look at the first week in August? Does Wednesday, the 4th of August work for everybody? Nope. Okay, Danielle,
I have a conflict. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. How about Tuesday the 3rd? Does that work?
I think so.
So that's the day that I come home from my.
Okay, so then I can't do it on the 5th. If we jump to the next week, what does the 10th or the 11th look like?
Okay. I'm open either.
Okay. All right. So how about if we did it on Tuesday the 10th? Is 9 o'clock a good time for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll meet then on Tuesday, the 10th of August at 9 o'clock. Okay. In the meantime, I think there'll be a lot of information. Don't forget that we'll get the information out about the Gene Donaldson meeting, our information from the Gene Donaldson meeting next week. Danielle's presentations that she mentioned, and the Maracus antenna install. It's all good information that relates very well to what this committee is trying to do. So,
and it's very possible that that next meeting could be in person.
I hope so.
We're working on it.
So we might have to, all give up our backgrounds and that we and
come out of the shadows.
Right. I think Anne Marie and I have blurred our backgrounds at this point, so that, and Joe might have to give up his tropical environment.
Yeah.
So. I just thought that was my eyesight. It's really changed through all the Zooming that I do.
I don't know. You've got a very Delaware-looking background for yourself there, Danielle. So, what marsh or tributary is that? Is that the Broadkill?
People ask me, and I should have an answer for that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Okay.
Cheryl,
all right.
You're going to be missed. The very best to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. And I hope you'll put it on your calendar and join us on the 10th.
Yes, as long as my new job, if I'm not working, then I will definitely join us so that I can introduce our new person,
okay.
And kind of make the introduction and tell you a little bit about him. And so, yeah, I'm very hopeful. Like I said, we should have a decision by this Friday.
Terrific. Thank you again for all your help.
Thank you, guys. I'll still be around.
Okay, good. We're happy to hear that. All right.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Meeting adjourned.